And we can start. Okay, this is the right one. All right, thank you everyone for joining us. All right, here we go. Pursuant to the New Jersey Open Public Meeting Act, NJSA 10-4-10, adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by advertising such notice in the Home News Tribune, the Asbury Park Press, the Board Office, the schools, and on Cablevision Channel 118 and BIOS Channel 2024, and by filing such notice with Township Clerk. This meeting was scheduled for Tuesday, June 30th, 2020. The board will take formal action on payment of bills and other agenda items. Mr. Mara, please. Oh, you're muted, Mr. Mara.
Okay.
Okay. No, you muted yourself again. There you go.
Try it again.
You're good. Okay. Yep.
The Old Bridge Township Board of Education acknowledges that the law of this state establishes that members of the public, including members of the board, have the right to record public board meetings using audio or video recording devices, provided that that act of recording does not interfere with the business of this public board meeting. Therefore, the board makes it known that any such recording is to be considered the private recording of the individual and in no manner represents the official record of this board. The board therefore takes no responsibility for such private recording and completely disavows any future use.
Roll call, please.
Burns. Is she muted, Kelly? Because I saw her that she was on.
Yes, she is. Hang on, I'm gonna.
Yes.
Okay, I unmuted it.
Do you hear me?
Yep.
Yep. Great. Present.
Kelly, it says the host muted everybody.
Oh, I meant
Joe,
to-
you muted.
I know. I heard. Okay, I'm trying. Okay, I unmuted by mistake. Okay.
Callie? Jill Callie, are you present?
You're muted.
Oh, I am muted. I keep unmuting myself and then I keep saying host muted. I'm here.
DeCaro?
Here.
DePrima?
Here.
Dunn?
Here.
Giordano? Lent?
Here.
Solikowski? Ellis Foster?
Here.
Quorum exists. And for the record, Mr. Cittadino's here, Dr. Hoker's here, Mr. Tui's here. Is Anita here? Anita Keeler?
Yes, hi.
Okay, and Chris Parton is here. Thank you.
And Mr. Sokolowski, so do you see that?
Mr. Solikowski's here?
Yes.
Okay, quorum exists.
Great, thanks. Okay, could we please stand for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And can I ask everyone to stand for another moment of silence? The board acknowledges the death of Jackie Canton, retired district secretary, and expresses its deepest sympathy to her family and friends. Okay, thank you, everyone. And thank you, everyone, for attending. We will start off with our Code of Ethics Corner. And I think, Mr. Giordano, you had stated that you will do that today.
I have Mr. Giordano as not present, Kelly.
I
He's here now,
can.
sir. He's here now, Joe.
Okay.
Sound enough, can you unmute yourself?
Yeah, I'm here.
Sorry.
I'm on my phone, so I can't see the,
Okay, all right. Oh, so you can't read the code of ethics then?
yeah, no, sorry.
That's okay. All right, no worries. So I'll read it then. The highlight of the month, the board members recognize that authority rests with the Board of Education and make no personal promises nor take any private action that may compromise the board. Okay, so our first is approval of minutes from the last several meetings. Could I have a motion, please?
Carol, a motion?
I'll second.
Who was that seconded? Ms. Lent?
Yes.
Any questions, comments? No? Okay, could roll call, please, Mr. Mara?
Burns?
Yes.
Ms. Burns?
Yes. Do you hear me? Yes.
Yes, sir. Callie?
Yes.
DeCaro?
Yes.
DePrima?
Yeah.
Dunn? Yes. Giordano?
Yes,
Lent?
Yes.
Solikowski?
yes,
Ellis Foster?
Yes,
Resolution 1 passes.
thank you. We don't have our student rep here, so we will go right on to recognition. Mr. Sedadino?
Thank you very much, Madam President. We have the honor tonight of recognizing 3 students, elementary students from around the district. So I move the board to recognize the following students as finalists as the Partnership for Drug-Free New Jersey's Design a fourth grade folder contest. There were more than 3,400 fourth grade students from across New Jersey entered, but only 28 earned recognition for this program. An award ceremony that was held on Tuesday, May 12th. 3 of the 28 finalists were in 4th grade here in Old Bridge, who were received medals for the creative peer-to-peer substance abuse prevention artwork, following the theme of fun things to do instead of drugs. We are proud to announce that those 3 recipients were Madison Santiago from McDivitt School, Lisa Tooley from Shepherd School, and Kaylin Millis from Shepherd School as well. Congratulations to those 3 young ladies. And I believe that when we do have our ceremonies in person again, or the students are in person again in schools, that we'll reach out to them and have a more fitting tribute to them.
Thank you. Can I have a motion to accept the recognition?
Callie will move.
Mrs. Callie, can I have a second, please?
Giordano second.
And Mr. Giordano, thank you very much. Any questions, comments? Yeah, Mr. Carroll?
I just want to say congratulations, girls. Great job. I'm very proud of the work you did, and just congratulations. Great job.
Great.
Callie?
Yeah. Yes, Ms. Callie.
Reiterating what Ms. DeCaro said, I wanted to congratulate these 3 students, and as a member of the Municipal Alliance for the Prevention of Substance Abuse, this makes me particularly happy that our students are participating in these endeavors and educate their minds about the hazards of drug abuse. So congratulations, girls. Keep up the good work.
Then if we can, Mr. Mara, roll call, please.
Callie?
Yes.
Caro?
Yes.
DePrima?
Yes.
Dunn? Yes. Giordano?
Yes,
Lent?
Yes.
Solikowski? Mr. Solikowski?
Is he muted?
Yeah.
He's muted.
yes. Did you hear it, Dan?
Yes, I got it. Thank you, Mr.
Okay.
Solikowski. Burns?
Yes.
Ellis Foster?
Yes,
Resolution 1 passes.
thank you. Now we will go on to superintendent's report. So, Mr. Sedadino.
Thank you again. On Friday of last week, I'm sure everyone was aware, the governor provided a framework for reopening our schools in September. That framework and the recommendations from other districts, for us, turns out to be more of a menu than a plan. A menu of options that we already knew existed. One, we could all return to school under normal conditions. We know that is not really an option. Two, that we could return to school with full enrollment using CDC social distancing guidelines. We also know that because of our enrollment size and our facilities, like many districts, that would not be an option either. With the number of students we have, we cannot have 6 feet in either direction in every classroom. A classroom of 20 students or 22 students would be divided into half to 10 or 11 students, and we would need additional staff to in classrooms to educate those students in person. 3 was a return to school with flexible scheduling of split days or alternating days of in-person and remote learning combination. And 4 was full remote learning. None of these options will fit everyone's needs, that's for sure. However, we will be framing our plan around student and staff safety as the priority. Surveys will be going out to families and staff members relative to their feelings about returning and re-entering to our schools. Additionally, task force teams have been made up to decide upon the best course of action for re-entering at our schools and provide enhanced remote learning opportunities when that is needed. These task forces will be made up of community members, educators, administrators, parents, and support staff personnel. Many parents have reached out to me about being placed on these teams. If you were selected, you will be notified. I thank you and all parents for their increased level of involvement. I promise you that as soon as we know more, you will know more. As required by the governor's action, a full plan will be disclosed in the beginning of August, a month before students return to school. Secondly, in light of the brutal and racially motivated murder of George Floyd, many conversations have been initiated across this district. Discussions that certainly were a long time in coming. A team within the district is working with alumni students of color to hear their stories and benefit from their experiences here in Old Bridge to make the school district a better place to learn and work. Unconscious bias and systematic racism will be key components of our professional development going forward. And I thank those current and former community members for reaching out and wanting to make this a better place. Tomorrow, I'm attending a session with the Attorney General entitled Conversations on Bias. Recently, information went out to 12th grade parents about the graduation ceremony that will take place at Lombardi Field. There will be 4 ceremonies and a rain date. The ceremonies will be on Wednesday, July the 8th at 8 a.m., Wednesday, July the 8th at 10:30 a.m. The first ceremony is students' last names A to D. The second ceremony on Wednesday is students' last name E to K. Thursday, July 9th at 8 a.m. will be last names L to Q. And Thursday, July 9th, 10:30 a.m. will be last names R to Z. There'll be no paper tickets will be issued. The student must arrive with their 2 guests. And all guests are required to wear face coverings. Also, temperature screenings will be conducted, and any guests with a temperature over 100.4 will not be permitted to enter. Graduates will be seated in the home bleachers, and families will be socially distant on the field. Guests are encouraged to bring a chair or a blanket since no guest seating will be provided. We anticipate that the event will probably take place in the area of 60 minutes to a little bit more than that. We're excited to be able to have an in-person graduation event for these students, and we've come a long way as a state and as a community. New Jersey is one of, I think, 3 or 4 states that are in the green right now, when we see many other states that are having increasing numbers of new COVID cases. I'm proud that this community has been able to work within the confines of this, and I think today marks the 4th or 5th day we've had 0 new cases in Old Bridge of COVID-19. So everyone has to keep on working with that, keep with the social distancing going, and please be reminded to do so when we get back to, when we get to our graduation ceremony. Additionally, the NJSIA has put out guidelines for sports and athletics to return. There is an allowance under there for a July beginning, but in talking with the leadership within the district, with the coaches and so forth, we're going to look into our phase 1 will begin in August 3rd. When we feel we'll have better opportunity to prepare, have more opportunity to get PPE equipment and better training, and have a better picture of how the COVID event is continuing to hopefully diminish in the state of New Jersey at that time. And that information will obviously be very helpful to us as we look at reopening the schools in August. I do want to commend a company, Central Boiler, a local company that supports our schools. They did provide us as a donation 6 white tents to use at graduation, where we can do temperature screenings and have some shade possibly for any handicapped or senior citizens who might be attending. I also want to recognize a student from the district, and we'll do this in person, hopefully at our next board meeting. She is a Carl Sandburg student, Samita Pukanuri. She won, or is being recognized to compete for $25,000 for title Top Young Scientist. She's the only recipient from New Jersey for this 3M contest. She worked to design a problem that mimics swarm intelligence through using creating of robotics. It was really quite amazing. And the information that can come from that will be very helpful in the future. Samita will also be working with 3M scientists to move her concept to reality through a summer mentorship. So congratulations to her, her family, and the Carl Sandburg community. I did have the pleasure today to visit the valedictorian of the class of 2020, Jordan Totten, and bestow upon her honorary cord, silver cord, and the valedictorian pin. Dr. Sasso and Ms. Fazio joined me there. And then we went to go visit the salutatorian, Rayan Chowdhury. And he is planning to continue his studies at Rutgers University. Ms. Totten will be going to Georgia Tech, and we wish them the best of luck. And we're grateful for them to continuing to make our community a proud place to learn and work. That is my summary. And there's a lot to happen this summer, probably more than any summer recess in the history of the district. And we will keep the board and the public notified, as we did throughout the course of the remote learning during COVID-19. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Cittadino, and I agree. I think it will be a very busy summer for everyone. We'll move on. Mr. Mayor, do we have any correspondences?
No correspondence.
Thank you. I don't believe we have any committee reports. Okay, we have facility uses in our packets. And so now we have our first public portion. If anyone has a comment or question on any of the agenda items only, if you could start by just indicating in chat, just put your name and we can then make sure we get to you. Again, we will have public comment at the end for anything, any general comments, anything that is not specifically on the agenda. So I'm going to wait to see if anybody, give everybody a few minutes to just, again, you want to just type in your name in chat if you have a question on anything in the agenda. Okay. And you can just put your name in there, just make sure, you know, so that I can just get to you in the participant list. But, another second. All right, so I don't see anyone wishing to speak on any agenda items. So we will close that and move down to policy. if I can have a motion on policy resolution number 1, please.
Lent will move it.
Hallie will second.
Okay. Do we have any discussions, questions? I don't know. I know, Mr. Port, we talked about this in the agenda. I don't know if you want to just reiterate what we're.
Really nothing to add. We talked about this in May and then again last on the 18th. So I think we've had adequate discussions unless there are any questions.
Anyone from the board, any questions, comments on any of the policies? No? Okay. We can move on. Mr. Mara, if we have a roll call, please.
Burns,
Yes.
Callie,
Yes.
DeCaro,
Yes.
DePrima,
Yes.
Dunn,
Yes.
Giordano,
Yes.
Lent,
Yes.
Silikowski,
Yes.
Ellis Foster.
Yes.
Resolution 1 passes.
All right, thank you. Next, we have a long one. Curriculum, professional development 1 through 50. We start with, can I have a motion to move, please?
Hallie will move.
DeCaro will second.
Okay. Any questions, comments? I know there's a lot on there.
Which one are you moving now?
1 through 50.
No, 1 through 13.
1 through 13, Kelly.
That's what I'm confused over here.
Yeah. Yeah.
50 is certificated staff.
Oh, apologies. Okay, 1 through 13. How's that one? Is that one?
I still move it.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right. Still a pretty long one. Does anybody have any questions, comments on any of these? Okay. All right. Seeing no questions, if we could have a roll call, please, Mr. Mara.
DePrima,
Yes.
Dunn,
Yes.
Giordano,
Abstain.
Lent,
Yes.
Silikowski,
Yes.
Burns, Ms. Burns,
Yes.
Hallie,
Yes.
DeCaro,
Yes.
Ellis Foster.
Yes.
Resolutions 1 through 13 pass.
Thank you. We have nothing with athletics.
Policy I got here.
Move to finance. Finance 1 through 25. Can I have a motion, please?
DeCaro will move.
Carol?
Was that Mr. Carroll?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Hallie will second.
Okay, any questions? No questions on? Okay, so if there's no questions, if we can have a roll call, please, Mr. Mara.
Giordano,
Yes.
Lent,
Yes.
Silikowski,
Yes.
Burns,
Yes.
Callie,
Yes.
DeCaro,
Yes.
DePrima,
Yes.
Dunn,
Yes.
Ellis Foster.
Yes.
Resolutions 1 through 25 pass.
Okay, thank you. Now on to non-certificated personnel operational 1 through 6. Have a, wait a minute.
Nope, we skipped office.
Office, apologies. I don't know what I'm looking at 2 things at once. I apologize. 1 through 2. Can I, non-certificated personnel office 1 through 2. Can I have a motion, please?
Lent will move it.
Yes, second.
DeCaro will second. Oh, sorry.
That's okay. Ms. Picaro, second. Any discussion, any comments? Okay, roll call, please, Mr. Mayor.
Lent,
Yes.
Silikowski,
Yes.
Burns,
Yes.
Ms. Burns,
Yes.
Callie,
Yes.
DeCaro,
Yes.
DePrima,
Yes.
Dunn,
Yes.
Giordano,
Yes.
Ellis Foster.
Yes.
Resolution 1 and 2 pass.
All right, now we will move on to non-certificated personnel operational 1 through 6. If I can have a motion, please.
Callie will move.
All right, can I have a second, please?
Carol, a second.
Carol, thank you. Any questions, comments? Okay, roll call, please, Mr. Mayor.
Silikowski,
Yes.
Burns,
Yes.
Callie,
Yes.
DeCaro,
Yes.
DePrima,
Yes.
Dunn,
Yes.
Giordano,
Yes.
Lent,
Yes.
Ellis Foster.
Yes,
Resolutions 1 through 6 pass.
thank you. Moving on to non-certificated personnel other.
Ms. Ellis Foster, we are administratively removing item number 4.
Okay. So we're doing 1 through 4 excluding, 1 through 5 excluding 4 then. Okay.
Yes.
I'll move.
Okay.
Is that Mr. DePrima?
Yes.
Yeah.
Can I have a second, please?
Callie will second.
Okay. Any questions? Discussion? No? All right. Roll call, please, Mr. Mayor.
Burns,
Yes.
Callie,
Yes.
DeCaro,
Yes.
DePrima,
Yes.
Dunn,
Yes.
Giordano,
Yes.
Lent,
Yes.
Silikowski,
Yes.
Ellis Foster.
Yes,
Resolutions 1 through 3 and 5 pass.
thank you. Next, certificated personnel 1 through 50. There it is. Could I have a motion, please?
Miss Alice Foster, I just need to make 2 corrections.
Okay.
Okay, so number 14E, the interview. The interview members, 14E should be Jason Lynch, removing Tim Dolan.
Okay.
And number 22, Memorial School was left off the list. Memorial School should have 12 hours. The total 108 hours is accurate.
Okay.
Memorial should have 12, you said, Kathy? I'm sorry.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Got it.
Those are the 2 corrections. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you. Can I have a motion, please?
I would actually like to separate 26 and 27 for voting purposes. Is that okay?
Yes. Do you want to still move it, though? You want to move
Let's
it?
get the
And-
motion.
I'll move the rest of them. Sure.
Okay, so,
I would like to separate number 1 for discussion.
okay.
Well, who was the first, please?
Did Ms. Callie move it first? Or Ms. Burns?
Ms. Burns.
Ms. Burns, and then can I have a second?
Carol, a second.
Okay, the cat. And then we are separating for discussion and discussion. We're going to separate 1 for discussion.
Yes, we have a retiree. She's a certified personnel. She's an interventionist at Carl Sandburg Middle School. Her name is Marianne Villegas, and she gave us 26 fantastic years of good service. I wish her a happy retirement. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Burns, can you said 26, I'm sorry, the two that you wanted to separate the voting?
26 and 27 for voting and discussion.
Okay, so do we want to have a, we'll discuss right now. Are there any other items for discussion? Well, we can start with 26 and 27.
Okay, so this is about the new technology and grant supervisor. I think technology is going to be very important moving forward, but from sitting here on the Board of Ed, I think I need to make a very data-driven decision, and I don't feel that I was given the information to make sure that this is the best candidate for us. So I'm going to vote no.
I'm also going to vote no for the simple reason, a long time ago, we were told that we would meet the entire board, not only the president of the board, our personnel committee, any position above teaching, okay, which is supervisors, directors, anything like that. And I can't go along with it. I would like to table this until the next meeting.
I know we did bring that up, and I think Mr. Parton, you did have some information on what the details that the board members see when it comes to personnel.
Yeah, we have talked about this over the years, Mr. Silikowski, but for a full board meeting of a candidate below the central office, central administration like Dave, Kathy, and Joe level is beyond what the School Ethics Commission is supporting right now. As far as having adequate information, that's an individual opinion, Ms. Burns. If you don't feel you have the adequate information, that's your call, of course. But as far as a full board interview of everybody at the level of vice principal and above, that is really beyond what the School Ethics Commission is even permitting at this point.
I'm still going to vote no on it because I feel that the administration should have came forward and introduced this person to the entire board before they hired him.
Madam President,
Yes, Mr. Dunn.
I just want to make it clear that I believe, based upon my knowledge of this particular candidate and her background, I have to say unequivocally that she is a fine fabric and she is a very dedicated employee to this district. And I believe that her abilities suit this position very well. And I will be voting yes, and she will have my full support.
I just want to clarify also that we did follow the procedures that we have established. The Personnel Committee was advised. The full board received the information, the resume, and the candidate's name, and I did receive questions. Any questions that I received, I answered. If there were additional questions out there, I was not aware, but certainly could have answered any additional information that was needed.
Yeah, and I'll just add on to that for kind of the procedures we've had over the last several years, at least my time on the board. I did have an informal meeting with Dr. Hoker and Mrs. Barrett, and we did kind of go over some of her resume, the expectations of the role, and I think, as we said, this technology is going to be critical going into this year, and especially the work that needs to be done over the summer. I think our staff and our technology team has done an amazing job, but I think it's critical going into this next phase. We have somebody who helps support and oversee that work, and I think Mrs. Barrett's time, not only in the district as an educator and administrator, but her time before that in the technology field is really is perfect for the fit right now. So again, we did have discussions in that, as well as it was brought forward to personnel. So I am supporting it.
Madam President, if I
Yeah.
could just may say something. Well, first, ironically enough, I'm at the office and I think the server crashed or went down because all internet is out here. So I'm on my phone right now, conducting the rest of the meeting. Secondly, well, I do understand Mr. Silikowski's position. That is usually what we do when even we introducing someone who's from outside the district. This person has worked in the district for several years, and I believe every board member knows her and knows of her work quality. So it wouldn't be for an interview, as Mr. Parton laid out. The board cannot be part of an interview process for this layer of appointment. It kind of would be a meet and greet and get to know the person. And I would hope that all the board members know this person.
I didn't want to sit in on the interview. It's like a greet and meet person type of situation. You know, we want to, these people are working for the taxpayers of Old Bridge, okay? They're working for the Board of Education. And I feel that any position above teaching, the board should basically meet these people because they represent the taxpayers and I represent the taxpayers. Okay, let's go on with the vote.
So can I just say something? So we, you know, I'm aware of Ms. Barrett. She was a computer teacher prior to becoming an administrator, and being on the technology committee. She was present before she became an administrator. So I have no reservations about the job she's going to be doing, and the reality of it is, we did get a copy of her resume. You know, it was sent to us. We were able to review it ahead of time. She's been in the district, so, you know, like as Mr. Cittadino had said, you know, the time that they bring people in is when those are out of district people. Mrs. Barrett has been in the district for a while, so I'm not. I trust in the process, and I trust their judgment that she is the best candidate. So I will be supporting her.
Any other comments on either 26, 27, or any other items on this category? Okay, so why don't we vote first on everything excluding 26 and 27. If we can do the roll call on everything except those two.
Okay, so it's 1 through 25 and 28 through 50. DeCaro?
Yeah, I'm supposed to abstain on 30, but yes, except for abstaining on number 30. Is that correct, Mr. Parton?
30 and 50, Mr. Carroll.
30 and 50. Yes, I'm sorry.
Okay. DePrima?
Yes.
Dunn?
Yes, abstention on 30 and number 50.
Giordano?
Yes.
Lent?
Yes.
Silikowski?
Yes.
Burns?
Yes.
Callie?
I am abstaining on 5, 30, and 50. Otherwise, yes.
And Ellis Foster?
Yes.
Okay, so now resolution, Kelly, Mr. Ellis Foster, can we do 26 and 27 together, or you want to do them?
Yeah, I think we can do those together.
Okay. All right, so DeCaro?
Yes.
DePrima?
Yes.
Dunn?
Yes.
Giordano?
Yes.
Lent?
Yes.
Silikowski?
No.
Burns?
No.
Callie?
Yes.
And Ellis Foster?
Yes.
Okay, so all resolutions 1 through 50 pass.
Okay. Moving on to non-certificated personnel transportation, 1 through 5. If I can have a motion, please.
Callie will move.
Can I have a second, please?
Lent will second.
Any questions, comments, discussion? No? All right, roll call, please, Mr. Mara.
DePrima?
Yes.
Dunn?
Yes.
Giordano?
Yes.
Lent?
Yes.
Sulikowski,
Yes.
Burns,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
DeCaro,
Yes.
Ellis Foster.
Yes.
Resolutions 1 through 5 pass.
Okay, on to supplies, equipment, and services, 1 through 9. If I can have a motion, please.
DeCaro will motion.
Lent will second.
Thank you. Any questions, comments, discussion? No? All right. Then roll call, please, Mr. Mara.
Dunn,
Yes.
Giordano,
Yes.
Lent,
Yes.
Sulikowski,
Yes.
Burns,
Yes.
Callie,
Yes.
DeCaro,
Yes.
DePrima,
Yes.
Ellis Foster.
Yes.
Resolutions 1 through 9 pass.
Thank you. On to transportation, 1 and 2. If I can have a motion, please.
Lent will move it.
DeCaro will second.
Second, thank you. Any questions, comments? All right, roll call, please, Mr. Mara.
Giordano, Mr. Giordano, Ms. Lent,
Yes.
Sulikowski,
Yes.
Burns,
Yes.
Callie,
Yes.
Carol,
Yes.
Prima,
Yes.
Dunn,
Yes.
Ellis Foster,
Yes.
and one final time, Mr. Giordano.
Yes.
Resolutions 1 and 2 pass.
Thank you. And on to miscellaneous, 1 through 9. If I can have a motion, please.
Callie will move.
Thank you, Ms. Kelly. Can I have a second?
Lent will
DeCaro will
second.
second.
Ms. Glenn, thank you. All right, any questions, comments, discussion? No? Okay, then, roll call, please, Mr. Mara.
Lent,
Yes.
Sulikowski,
Yes.
Burns,
Yes.
Callie,
Yes.
DeCaro,
Yes.
DePrima,
Yes.
Dunn,
Yes.
Giordano,
Yes.
Ellis Foster.
Yes.
Resolutions 1 through 9 pass.
Thank you. And finally, last item is board secretary and board business, one resolution. Can I have a motion, please?
Make the motion.
Burns, thank you.
Lent will second.
Second, thank you very much. Any questions, comments? No? Okay. All right, Mr. Mayor, roll call, please.
Sulikowski,
Yes.
Burns,
Yes.
Callie,
Yes.
DeCaro,
Yes.
DePrima,
Yes.
Dunn,
Yes.
Giordano,
Yes.
Lent,
Yes.
Ellis Foster.
Yes.
Resolution 1 passes.
Great, thank you. All right, now we're on to, again, hearing of the residents on any school district item. I see there's 2 people. I'm going to, let me see if I can find you. I can unmute you. I see there is a Mr. Freeman is on. I'm going to unmute you right now. If you should be able to speak, if you want to, Mr. Freeman, if you unmute yourself, you can talk. Okay, we're not going to do that one. All right. Okay, so the next person is Mr. O'Neill. Mr. O'Neill, let me, and if anybody wants to talk, please put a note into the chat. Hang on, Mr. O'Neill, here you are. Okay, Mr. O'Neill, you should be able to speak now. Oh, Mr. O'Neill, I think you have to unmute yourself.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
There you go. Okay, Mr. O'Neill. Yep, thank you.
Thank you. Tim O'Neill, President of the OBEA. I first want to recognize the exceptional work done by everyone in the district to adapt and thrive in the unforeseen and unmanageable situation we found ourselves in this year. I want to thank all the OBA members who work to meet the needs of our students and the district despite the obstacles we faced on a daily basis. Our teachers who adapted to new technologies and instructional strategies, the drivers who delivered meals to students in need, the secretaries who made sure we all got paid and the district kept functioning, and all of our other members. I also want to thank administration and the board for supporting our faculty and staff and for working with the OBEA to solve the conflicts that arose in an amicable fashion. As we complete this unprecedented school year and move into the summer, we all need to recognize that this summer will also be like no other for the administration, faculty, and staff. While summer would normally be a time for well-deserved relaxation and decompression, it will instead be a time for concern about what the future holds for everyone in the school community. We all have questions and concerns about the fall, and many of the people closest to the situation are simply scared for their safety. Our district leadership has the unenviable job of conceiving a plan to reopen our school buildings in the fall for in-person instruction in some capacity. Doing so in a way that protects the health and safety of every member of the school community and meets both the needs of our students and the expectations of their parents will be extremely difficult. The health and safety of every stakeholder must be the top priority. I know many community members want to rush back to normal for various reasons. I also know that even under the best circumstances, remote learning cannot come close to replicating what actually happens in our classrooms. However, in our current context, there are many factors that need to be taken into consideration. As all educators know, students can only learn in an environment where they feel safe. In order for the return to in-person instruction to be effective, the conditions need to more than meet the minimum standards for New Jersey. We need conditions under which the students and staff feel safe so they can function properly and perform to their full potential. It also must be considered that the rush to reopen schools is happening in a way that is not consistent with the handling of every other facet of our society. Many companies have already told employees that they will continue working from home until January 2021. Businesses that have reopened have done so under restrictions to protect everyone's safety, such as limits on customers in stores and restricted outdoor-only dining in restaurants. These parameters are in place to protect the employees and the customers alike. Every member of our school community deserves the same consideration, whether it is explicitly stated in the Department of Education's guidelines or not. In the fall, if masks are still required in every other public indoor space, they should be required in all schools. Surely educators and students deserve the same protections as everyone else. Two arguments consistently offered by those who want to rush to reopen our school buildings as quickly and fully as possible are that children are less likely to be affected by COVID-19 than adults, and that students need to go back to school so parents can go back to work. First of all, while students are less likely to suffer from symptoms, they have been proven to be carriers. An individual carrying the virus can transfer it to every student, secretary, teacher, para, bus driver, and lunch aide they come in contact with, and through each of them, every member of their households. Regarding parents' need to return to work, I would just like to highlight that when and how businesses reopen was dictated by the health and safety of the people involved, not by economic factors. For example, restaurants reopened how and when it was determined to be safe, not because the workers needed the money or the economy needed to get back on track. Similarly, decisions regarding opening schools must be made based on what is safe, not what is best for the economy. I'm not speaking tonight to argue against the reopening of the school buildings. The state has dictated that it's going to happen in some capacity, so it has to. However, the details of what it's going to look like, of what that is going to look like, were left to the individual districts. I think that everyone in the public and the school community needs to understand the complexity of the situation and that returning to school in the fall will look very different than it has in the past. As the president of the OBEA, my primary focus is ensuring the safety of my members. But considering the infectious nature of this virus, the health of each individual can affect the health of the entire community. I plan to continue to work with the administration and the board to find the best path forward for Old Bridge. I know that we all have a lot of questions and concerns about moving forward, and the best way to address them effectively will be to work together to create the best situation possible for every member of our school community. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. O'Neill. And again, thank you to you and the entire staff. And it is going to be a challenge. Okay, the next person, Mr. Friedman, you should be allowed to talk now, and you might need to unmute yourself to be able to be heard.
Hey, I'm here. Can you hear me?
There you go. Yes.
All right. I posted an Instagram link. I don't know if you saw it.
Okay, yes. In the
Okay.
chat? Okay.
A lot of students of color in Old Bridge are facing racism. And we would like to know what is going to be done, or what has been done, or what is being done to address these issues in light of what's happening today. Because there's a big divide in Old Bridge right now. And we feel that nothing is being addressed to this matter, because it's affecting not just our students, but everyone. So what is going to be done in the future going forward, teaching about?
I don't know if you were on in the beginning of the call. I know Mr. Cetadino had talked about a few specific things. I don't know, Mr. Cetadino, did you want to just
Sure.
reiterate some of those things that you said?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Someone had shared with me the Instagram post. I had seen it prior to that. I'm aware of it. I have reviewed it. I responded to that person who shared it with me through social media. We are working with several students who are former students who have shared. I don't know if there's some of the stories I've read are similar ones that they've read to me, that they've shared with me in the meeting that we had. We have future meetings planned. There was actually a meeting prior to my first meeting. So there's been several meetings with these students of color expressing their concerns with everything from classroom dynamics and racism that they have witnessed or been part of, or the unconscious bias that takes place, or even the hiring practices and what it feels like to be a student of color to not see people like yourself in school. And maybe that is an impact of why we do not receive a lot of applicants of minority. So we're looking at everything from our professional development, aside from the COVID-19 and keeping everyone safe. There's like two main themes going to run through the opening of the school year. One is obviously the COVID-19 piece and everyone being able to train to keep themselves and their students safe. But the other piece to that would also be looking at bias, looking at racism, and looking at our own hiring practice, how we can improve that so that there is a more inclusive picture, and we do not have these stories that have been related through there in the district any further. So those are the things we're doing. The dialogue is continuing. I think the last meeting was very productive. It's expanding to our next meeting, where we're going to have not only Dr. Hooker joining us, who heads up our hiring practices, but also staff members from the district will be invited, who are staff members of color, to give their perspective as well on how we can improve and be a better district for everyone.
So what about the change in curriculum, like adding more African American studies? I'm not just talking about Black History Month, but going forward throughout the entire school year. I mean, what do you see going forward? I think there needs to be more African American studies and history about that.
Right, and I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I had a dialogue. I had a dialogue about that recently too. That, and a lot of times in the history books, the first time we were introduced to Black Americans is through the Civil War period, aside from the piece of, with Crispus Attucks at the Revolutionary War. And, many African Americans that took place were kings and queens and that continent. It's really not covered a lot in our history books. So that's obviously something we're to look at too and reshape some of the curriculum there, and obviously speak to the state about who drives our curriculum and drives our the standards within the curriculum. So I know when I speak to my curriculum committee within the county level that's a topic of conversation as well. So definitely a lot of these points have been driven home and we're aware of them.
Okay, well, I appreciate that, and I look forward, to seeing some change in Old Bridge.
I appreciate that. If you want to shoot me an email, I would not be, I would be open to having more future conversations, and I could be better educated and get some views that I may not be aware of. So my emails are on the website. Shoot me an email, and I'd love to have a conversation with you.
Okay, I definitely will do that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we have somebody else who wants to speak, but there's also a question first we just want me to ask. I want to do that one first, which is a quick question. Will there be summer reading assignments this year?
I know that Dr. Tui and I had that conversation. We're having a conversation. We're meeting remotely tomorrow, and that's one of the topics on our agenda tomorrow. So when that comes out, we will be able to push that out to, we're not going to wait until the end of August to provide you any assignments. So we'll definitely provide that information in the earlier part of July.
Okay, okay, and now we have Cheryl wants to speak. So Cheryl, you can speak. There you go. Oh, yep. And you unmuted yourself. Okay.
Hi.
Hi, Cheryl.
I just wanted to say, like, with not speaking from my personal experience, I've had personal experiences, but like it's like specifically with like the teachers and like how certain things aren't taught. Like when you teach Black history in school, they teach the same thing every year. MLK, Harriet Tubman, Rosa Parks, the same thing every year, which they are like amazing role models in the Black experience, but there's so many more people to know about. And I feel like kids don't get that, like I didn't get that experience to learn about them when I was younger. I had to learn like from watching TV, and like my older sibling would teach me, and the school system wouldn't teach me that.
I agree, Cheryl, and it's something we're going to be working towards. Mr. Solentano is our heads up that department. We've already had conversations online about that and how to make that better and give a more robust, rounded, and conclusive view of not only African American history in the United States, but beyond that to the home continent and everything.
Yeah, I also feel like Old Bridge wants to pride itself on being a diverse town and like teaching about diversity, but that really won't matter if the people that are diverse in this town are being berated every single day, whether they're in school or not. Like they're being demonized, like for being who they are, whether you're in school and they tell you to put your hair down because your hair is blocking the kids around you, but that my hair is part of my culture, and like it's not being taught, so no one will understand that. And like or people making fun of my dark skin, or like my friend's dark skin, like it's not being taught that that's not okay, and it's being taught in families that it's okay, and not being taught at school that it's not okay.
Well, I definitely, again, like I said, there's things we could do better. I know that we have a pretty wide scoping SEL program, social emotional learning program, but there's obviously gaps that we're not hitting upon that we could do better, and we will continue to do so. But it helps when I have the feedback from you and students who are going through this, who can express that, and then we can obviously address these gaps that we're not seeing, because maybe students don't feel comfortable coming to us or letting us know. So obviously things that we can do better on our end to make sure that everyone who feels as though there's a bias against them, that they are comfortable coming to the leadership in the district, or they find comfort in people to come to and speak to.
Yeah, and I also feel like it's important for students to have teachers to look up to, because almost every teacher in the schools that I went to Salk, Shepherd, and high school, and almost every teacher that is there is white. and like nothing's, and like I feel like if kids have, when I was in elementary school, I didn't have a teacher to look up to be like, that looks like me. Like I want to be a teacher because she or he or they look like me, and I want to be, I can do it because they can do it. Like when I went to middle school and I saw one of the first Black teachers there, I was so excited because I had someone that looked like me. Like no one, like people don't think about that if they're like oblivious to it, if they have had that their whole life. But like when you see on TV or when you see in your school system, people that look like you teaching things that you want to do in your life, it changes the way you grow up.
I definitely agree with you, and that's something we when we met, we discussed. When I say meet from now on, I mean virtually. I'm not meeting with anyone personally, but that was one of the topics of conversation. And we even talked about, because some of the former students are educators now, and I even asked that question: when you were in education coursework, did you see fellow students like yourself in there? Were there students of color in there? Because I know my experience, and I went to a diverse university, and I didn't see any in the elementary education programs. I didn't see a lot of diversity there, and reflective, that was reflective across the whole student campus, that was much more diverse. So I think there's a need to attract more people of color to education, and I think we can do a better job of recruiting our own students who go on and leaving and then wanting to come back and to do so. I know when you say you went to Salk, it's probably Salk's probably our most diverse school, but it's not diverse. It's not diverse enough, and doesn't speak to the diversity that we need across the district. So definitely something we found information on how we can address that, and deal with that situation. And hopefully, in the future, students like yourself will find more role models within the school.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All. Thank you.
Okay.
Bye, Cheryl.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you, Cheryl.
Thank you.
Those are good schools, though, because my kids went to those ones too, so they're good. We have a question online. Will you build diversity training into your staff PD? The school climate committees should have a component on diversity and inclusion. I don't know if Dr. Hope.
Those are both yeses.
Sorry, I was just going to add that we are expanding the options and the opportunities that we have for staff. I've been talking with our administrative team, and we are sending many of our administrators out over the summer. I just signed up for another workshop myself, and then, working to turnkey more information to staff in September, and even provide offerings throughout the summer. And all of the PD we are working on now, we are working on providing it remotely.
And like I said in the beginning, I'm having a session tomorrow with the Attorney General on this particular topic.
Does anybody else in the public, if you want to just to type in your message, I can read it, or if you want to quickly put your name in if you'd like to speak. We'll wait a few more minutes just to give you a chance before we close it out. Okay. All right, I do not see anyone else from the public. So at this time, I just got two quick questions, kind of follow-ups to that. Not all schools have a utilized climate committee, or they don't start meeting until March. I don't know if that makes sense. With that, so I don't know, Diana, if you can expand on that, or does somebody know exactly?
I'm not sure when they're using the term climate committee. We have school safety committees, climate committees, parent advisory, and I think in some of the schools they combine the committees and have multiple representations, so they may have varying titles. Certainly I believe that we're going to expand the conversation, and yes, I do believe that parents will be included because they are part of those committees, and the topic will, like I said, expand throughout these meetings. And I'm looking at the next one. will parents be included is that for the meeting or the training? If either one, I would say yes. Actually, some of the.
Can you read the question? Because not public can't see what the question is. Can you just read the question so the public
It
can?
says, will the parents be included to either input their thoughts or attend the diversity and inclusion? So if you're referencing attending and being part of a committee, then yes, parents would have that opportunity. And as far as if it's that professional development, and I think it is a community-wide training opportunity. So we've actually looked into some opportunities where we can expand out to the parents as well. So we are working on that.
Okay, good. Okay. Okay, so I think that answered all the questions. And again, I think that's it. Some of the stuff that maybe we planned because of COVID did get kind of pushed off and changed. So I think we'll see more of this as we go on the rest of the summer and into the fall. So, okay. And yeah, I think if we can expand some of that offerings to parents, that'd be a great opportunity. All right, so at this point, looks like we will close the.
Kelly, excuse me, Kelly.
Yes.
I have someone texting me that they didn't realize they needed to be on the Zoom call. They're watching on YouTube and they wanted to speak. I advised them that they needed to be on the Zoom call, and so I think she's trying to get on. I don't know if we can wait or if we need to move on.
Yeah. Just see, it's getting. All right. I think kind of for the sake of time, somebody said they can't get onto the Zoom meeting. The instructions are on our site. We had it up. So I just got a note from. I don't know. I don't know why people can't get on because we had 18 people on. So I'm not quite sure why the meeting is open until 11. So what I
Is there a limit on participants? Because there's a lot of people.
Okay. She's on now. She's on. So I think she has her hand raised, Kelly.
Okay, hang on. Okay. Okay, so let me see. So the person wants to Samsung. If you can state your name and if you're unmuted, you can speak.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, how are you? This is Councilwoman Adina Brown. I hope everyone's doing well tonight. So I just wanted to call in, as I'm sure the people there on the board know and Mr. Cittadino knows, I've been getting a lot of calls daily from students who have experienced a measure of bias and who have also been requesting to have administration and also educators in the school that reflect their values, their morals. So one of the things that I know for me has been really disheartening is hearing their stories. If I'll be honest, a lot of them have been really disturbing. And, the unfortunate thing is I know a lot of them have actually spoken to teachers, or a lot of them have said that these things have happened in front of teachers where either they've been bullied for their race, their color, their hair, right in front of teachers, even called things as egregious as the N-word in front of teachers, and also have gone to the superintendent and nothing has happened. So, I kind of, echo the sentiments of the last few callers in terms of wanting to know precisely what will be done. I know that there is a group that has asked me to be their liaison in terms of working with the school district, but moving forward, what will be done in terms of I guess, finding some type of framework that will stop that type of behavior. You know, obviously we know that if there's no consequence and someone feels comfortable, you know, whether it's someone Black, someone who's Muslim, whatever their race is, if we don't have a consequence to that type of behavior and teachers are watching it happening and not doing anything, then it will continue to persist. So what would be a good consequence going forward? I mean, I have some that I've brought up to the high school teacher, but I want to know, what do you believe would be a good consequence for that type of behavior? I know I did talk to Mr. Cittadino last week, and he was very, he was a bit insensitive about all of these situations and was rather angry. But I do know for a fact that, like I said, a lot of people have reached out to me and feel that the response from the superintendent and also the district has been rather lackluster, and not really reaching out to people in the community to see how they feel, and not just how they feel, but what are the best ways. I don't think that speaking to other teachers when our administration and our teachers are, you know, out of almost 1,100 are very largely not of color. So I really don't think the solution lies in speaking only to them. I think the solution lies in speaking to the actual people of color in our community. So if that's parents, I think that's something we should look into. So again, I guess it's two-part, right? Finding a solution that offers consequence to people using either racial slurs or saying things that are offensive or egregious to anybody really, but especially things that are of a race nature. And then also, I would really like to see more involvement of parents in this process of figuring out a better way to be inclusive. So I'll take the answer.
Okay, Adina, so I don't know if you heard, I know, I don't know if you were trying to get on, but there was some, I think, very good constructive conversation where
Yeah.
Mr. Medino did give some specifics. So I think this is something that we clearly are taking on and taking on seriously. Mr. Medino, I will let him speak for himself. But, you know, having conversations and planned conversations with students. So going forward, we can make sure we address, you know, the issues going on. So I don't know, and what we're doing both with staffing as well as curriculum and staff. So I think this is something we certainly are addressing. But Mr. Dino, I don't know if you want to add anything else?
One of the conversations that we've had is looking at our code of conduct and changing it to be from less generic to more specificity in the code of conduct. And we feel as though that would be very helpful and create clear expectations or clearer consequences as to what people could look to expect. You know, as Mr. Parton would probably support, you know, that student records or even their discipline is not an open matter. So even when things are brought to attention and consequences can be imposed from varying levels, a lot of times people don't know what the consequences are because they are part of a student's personal and private record that cannot be shared. And sometimes if students would share on social media, oh, nothing happened to me, that doesn't mean that's truthful and nothing happened. It means that maybe they're not being truthful themselves. So those are some of the things that we're looking at as far as the code of conduct. I think we spoke very matter to the point of on the other issues about how we look to improve our the diversity within our staff, to have more staff members of color and to have more of that student voice so the students feel comfortable to share their stories so we can fill those gaps and fill the problems where they exist.
Okay. I think, you know, as time goes on, like I said, I know that I've been tasked with being a bit of a liaison for the students that have reached out. So, you know, I definitely, as pretty much one of the very, very few leaders of color in the town, would really like to just know what's going on going forward. I know the council and the Board of Ed are not closely aligned. You know, we're two separate entities, but I want to make sure, you know, as the students have entrusted me to kind of check in with this for them. And also some parents have also reached out to me. I just want to make sure because, you know, as one of the parents stated earlier, it now, and maybe, I don't know if he said use the word trust, but I think it's gotten to a place of, there's probably really a lack of trust. So I think, again, when we move forward having certain discussions, but also making decisions around diversity and inclusion, we really need to include the people who are a part of the cultures that we're making these decisions for, because that's where a lot of misses happen. You know, I have personal stories that have happened to me. Some people would be shocked if I said who were they are involving right now. I'm not going to do that. But, and then I've gotten so many emails, like messages on social media, and then also just people reaching out via text message just to tell me of their experiences. And again, I've been very saddened to hear about it. And I just feel like this is a town where everyone should feel welcome, especially our kids. We entrust our kids to go to school and to feel safe when they're there. And for us as parents to feel safe sending them there. And I just, you know, the more I've heard these stories, I'm like, I don't even know how parents can feel safe with that. And I don't think it should be a situation where only some parents should feel safe, but every parent in this district. So again, I just want to make sure that we're including the voices of people who actually have these lived experiences when we are going through and making decisions about inclusion and diversity in the school. So again, however, I think one thing we talked about was a diversity council. So making sure that that council of people is included in at least helping to form some type of framework around that. So thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks, Adina.
Thanks.
Okay. There's another comment real quick, kind of tagging on to all of this is there a plan to have a Board of Ed committee focused on diversity and inclusion? Equity issues are pervasive in our state. It was evident during remote learning. How will the district ensure equity in the roadmap of returning to school? I mean, if anybody else wants to chime in after I'm done, I know that equity is part of the mandates. So I know there's really strict mandates as we start looking at this roadmap. So I think that is something certainly that is going to be looked at also as we improve on what we've offered. And what I would say on, you know, because this is such a fluid topic, as you know, it's going and the board hasn't had a lot of time to meet. But in August, we'll meet sometime in August, whether virtual or face-to-face, to talk about district goals. This is probably something maybe we will look at and figure out how best as a board we might be able to do something. So I can see us talking about that at that point to come up with some actionable items and some goals going forward. I don't know if anybody else would want to chime in on that.
I just want to say, you know, I agree, Kelly, you know, that's definitely something that we can talk about. You know, it's been difficult these past few months trying to communicate. You know, we haven't even had any real of our committee meetings, you know, and it's been difficult. And so I think once we start meeting in person and we have, you know, the opportunity to, you know, get back to little bit of more normal, then we can start to really roll our sleeves up and figure out as a board what we want to do and if we want to start maybe considering that. So yeah, I also want to thank all the people that did call in or type in their messages. You know, conversation and communication is so important, and you know, I hope that continues. And, you know, I think that we are doing a good, we as a district are recognizing what needs to be done and definitely not ignoring it. And we want to make sure that we meet it head on and address it as best we can, you know, and it's unfortunate that we're stuck in this Zoom world. So hopefully once things start to open back up again, we'll be able to really address it more thoroughly.
Okay, so I do not see any other hands up or comments in the chat.
Ms.
So,
Foster, can I just add one thing?
yes, please.
And again, I agree that, like I said before, the two things that are most pressing is obviously finding a safe way for our students to re-enter the schools that is safe for not only our students, but our staff. And the other part that we've obviously come to light that we all need to work on, not only as an Old Bridge state, as a nation, is the underlying racial bias that still exists, and we need to address it. And that's obviously the two major driving components of the future. But there was one question about consequence that I just want, that I didn't mention. I just want to make sure everyone is clear upon. And again, something that I know that I work with Dan Roberts from Mr. Parton's law firm on this very often, and every administrator will tell you the same story, that when students use, I know because it was brought to attention, the N-word, and it's brought to administrator's attention and or my attention, in every instance, they're instructed to notify the police department and the prosecutor's office through the police department on the bias crime unit. I can't say how many times that has been illustrated and shared with the my team, in any hate speech that is relative to race, religion, gender, sexual preference. All of those items, when hate speech is involved, must come with a report to the police department. And then the police department then checks with the prosecutor's office on their investigation as to if they're going to prosecute locally or not. So, and then we kind of wait upon that to see what measures that we're going to do, because when it becomes a police investigation, we kind of step back from doing an investigation because we don't want to step on or tamper with witnesses who may have seen or heard something. So, and that usually takes place very quickly, the turnaround on that report to the anti-bias crime unit. So just something that I want to make sure everyone is aware of that we do, but we have to do by law. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, so we will go now on to old business. The only old business I have is I would just ask any of the board members who haven't gotten back to me about your attendance on graduation, if you can do that, so I can give that information to Dr. Sasso. Anybody have any old business or new business? Any comments before we close from any? I do not believe we're going into executive session. I don't believe.
We're not.
No executive session. Excellent. So anybody from the board, any closing comments? Do you want to either just shoot your hand up or just jump on in?
Yes.
Okay, yep. Mr. Giordano.
Yes, I would like to thank the students for making sure that their voices were heard. And I'm sure that the administration is going to do the best they can to solve those problems. And I would like to congratulate once again the class of 2020 for all they've done. And I'll see them at graduation. And for those registered to political parties, make sure to get out and vote on July 7th. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else? Anybody? I'm trying to get everybody's. Yes, Miss Callie. Sorry, I hadn't zoomed over. Yes, yes, ma'am.
Okay, am I?
Yeah, we can hear you.
I just wanted to thank the students, the staff, and the parents for their hard work and their understanding through all of what's been happening with regard to the remote learning. And I just wanted to wish everybody a safe and happy summer. And healthy.
Thanks, Ms. Kelly. Anyone else? Right now? Oh, yes, Ms. Burns.
I just wanted to thank Mr. O'Neill for his comments. I made a lot of notes about things to consider when we look at opening the school and different variables for our students and teachers. Again, like Miss Callie said, I hope you all have a happy, healthy summer and happy 4th of July this Saturday. So take care, guys.
Thank you. All right. Anyone else? All right. So if no one else, we just wrap it up. And again, I think everybody had some great comments. I did spend the weekend reading the report that came out from the state, and I mean, it's as Mr. Neal said, it's a very complicated process. So I know that the administration and the staff will have its work cut out, because it really is only a month. The plan, even though there might be 2 months before the fall starts, the plans have to be to the DOE for approval a month before the first day. So it really is only a month. So vacations may not be so much fun for administration this summer. Thank you to everyone who talked, chimed in, especially the students. I think it's a conversation we will keep going. So thank you for contributing to it, and hopefully we will continue it in different forms as we go on. Hopefully, though, everybody, especially the students who worked so hard this last semester, and the staff, get some downtime where they can just at least enjoy being home, since that's where we'll all tend to be. But maybe get to regenerate a little bit. And thank you all for your efforts. And we know that once again, it will be several months of hard work, but in the Old Bridge way. We know we will all come together and get this done. So thank you, everyone. We do not have a meeting. I'll remind everybody in the public, we do not have a meeting in July. Our next meeting, agenda meeting, will be August 18th. So with that, can I have a motion to close, please?
Carol, motion.
Lent will second.
Will second.
We'll get it done. There we go. Mr. Mayor, roll call, please.
Yeah, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? The meeting is adjourned. Good night, everyone.
Okay, thanks, everyone.
Night.
Great summer.
Everybody.
You too.